Oh, hi! This week, I have a squirmy little menace on my lap. And to tell you the truth, I feel like a heap of trash. And not in like a fun, cool way, like in Fraggle Rock, but like, oh my god, how am I supposed to function like this? So I did kind of a quicker project. I was hoping to make this plaid dress that I had put together sometime last year into something that I hated less. I just love this colorway so goddamn much, and I love plaid anything. Obviously. Is this more of a gingham? Is plaid even the right term for most of the plaid I talk about anyway? Isn't it tartan? I don't know. Shit about shit. Anyway, clearly starting off with some weird energy, but here's what you need. Got a puppy on my lap, got a nice warm cup of tea, got a heating pad. That's the only thing linking me to the living world right now. But here goes. So I started with this skirt. I mean, it was originally that dress that I showed. I tediously unpicked the entire top part because the bodice did not fit great, but the skirt had potential, right? It sat a little high. If I just lower it, maybe we can figure something out here. I did keep the zipper intact when I took the bodice part off, so I just unpicked it a little bit down since we were going to be adding a waistband, and we were going to need the very edge of the skirt top available to us, and then just stitch everything back down after. It's fine. Then I used the waistband pattern. I made this for the gathered skirt video. There's a whole iCard up here. It's a much more thorough walkthrough, and there's instructions on how to base the skirt off of your own measurements and figure out the waistband width and height and all that stuff. So much more helpful and informative actual tutorial there. Less of a, hey, I made a thing. You want to talk about it in a nonsensical format because I am delirious. Anyway, the waistband pattern that I use is pretty tall, and that is my one complaint with it. It looks okay sometimes, but I didn't want a tall one on here, and also I had limited fabric to work with because I managed to keep all of the scraps from that dress I made, which is bad for my fabric hoarding brain because I hold on to everything, and things like this where it came in handy. I could have used a complementary color waistband. It would have been fine, but I'm like, this is why I must hold on to each and everything that is cut off of everything, no matter how small. This includes a piece I'm going to use for a pocket. I can't remember if this was originally a pocket or not, but it's gonna fit my giant ass hands, so I'm excited about this. And it'll be a patch pocket instead of a side seam pocket. At this point in the process, unsure whether or not this skirt's gonna work for me, and I don't want to put that much time into it. And the fabric is weird where like it's sturdy some ways, but also like so slack and wonky other ways, and it's just kind of a pain in the dick to work with, so adding a side seam pocket was just kind of out of the question for me. Then one of my complaints about the dress is that the skirt had been hugging my tummy kind of weird. That adding a lining would help because that has helped with previous dresses. There's another skirt I made for this video here that I re-added the original lining that I took out of it, and I fucking love this skirt now because it doesn't hug me. There's another layer that's like helping it shape itself rather than contouring just to my body in spots I'm not super comfortable with. Very new thing for me, adding linings to skirts, because it feels very like business casual, but they also definitely have their place. So here for the lining. I pilfered it off of this kind of rainbow-ish thing that once used to be a skirt. It's shredding really weird though. Not well reinforced weave. Whatever I do with this will either be something that doesn't have a lot of strain, so not a garment. Perhaps an infinity scarf, because you know, I love me some infinity scarves, especially nice, thick, warm, chunky ones, because I do live in the tundra. But if I make it into a bag or something, I'll be sure to use a bunch of like stiff interfacing to make sure those fibers kind of hold and don't pull apart any more than they already have. Please let me know if you have any suggestions. It could be something, you know? It's too pretty not to do something with. So yes, as for whatever alterations left on the skirt, it's already hemmed. The width is fine once I lower the top down 2 inches. I just measured all the way around, cut along that line, obviously had to unpick the zipper that little bit more. Then I laid the plaid skirt out and then put the lining bit that I had on top just to check the length, and it does look like the top is probably gonna mostly fit fine. There is this slit at the top of it for the zipper and everything. I was wondering if I was gonna have to kind of taper the top because this is more of an A-line skirt where the original skirt was more pencil-like. I did hem the lining up just a bit because I didn't want to risk it sticking out at all. And then I basted the 2 layers together. I just stuffed the wrong sides together. Then yeah, I took the waistband pieces. I ended up finding just some black scrap to do the inside waistband because it is 2 pieces cut on fold of that pattern that I have, because I knew I wanted it to be shorter. But if I had to fold that plaid fabric in half on top of the seam allowance that was already going to get taken up, there would have been nothing left. I did use a bunch of scrap pieces of interfacing because they were there to get used, and that's something I've done many a time before. I just overlap the bits of interfacing, the tiniest bit. If something's too short, it works just fine. Someone got grumpy and had to find a baby. So as far as attaching the waistband, pretty standard procedure. Again, there's much more detailed steps in the gathered skirt video. I'm sure I have other skirt videos where I talk about this. I didn't do anything fancy. Clearly, as shown by the fact that I didn't even line the seams up very well on the back as far as like where the waistband met the top of the skirt. Part of that is the fabric. I should have interfaced the entire fucking skirt, honestly, because the way it was walking and moving and just warping weird, but I genuinely did what I could with what I had. So I think the actual skirt was as good as I was gonna get it. Then I did add the pocket, which I just folded over about 1.5 inches. At the top, I serged all the edges first and then just pressed those edges in a bit so that when I top stitched the whole thing down, I just laid really nice and flat and smooth. And I was actually really happy with the pocket because I don't often do pouch pockets. I always try to do pockets in the side seams. And that was pretty much it. It was just adding a waistband to an already constructed skirt that had a zipper most of the way installed and adding a patch pocket and a lining. As for the fit, it's bad. It's bad. It's the fabric though. I don't know what else this would have worked as. It's like kind of a wool, but definitely some type of polyester blend. It has structure to it, but it doesn't hold its shape very well, which seems very counterintuitive. It just obviously stretches on the bias and stuff, but I don't know what this should have been intended for, this fabric, because it's nice and stiff along the bottom. It has this really like interesting wave bit to the bottom hem, but oh my god, the way it's going across my tummy. Obviously front facing, it doesn't look as bad, but like I feel terrible in this. I mean, I know I physically feel terrible anyway, and it's been days of this. I think I filmed this 2 days ago and have just been falling apart ever since. But such is life with a lemon body. We gotta forge ahead. It's interesting how like it's both too shapely and not shapely enough at the same time. It's very confusing. It's just a buck wild fabric, and this is what happens when you go thrifting for material. This was a secondhand shop find, and it was good experimenting. In future, I'll know to not get fabric like that or try to figure out what that could have been used for, because what I was trying to make, both with the dress and turning the bottom into a skirt like this, it was not what that fabric was meant to be. So as always, it'll just go into my scrap bin and be used as stuffing for something else, for little Bert's toys. As for me, I'll be fine. Honestly, I don't know that I would have even pushed through this project had it not been for talking to everybody over on Patreon and like my Discord and stuff. It's such an encouraging group, and everyone has days where they just like can't feel like they can get through anything, and like the past year plus has been a struggle. This is my version of taking it easy, is kind of a quicker project, making this into kind of a shorter video so that I can hopefully have my shit together better for a very exciting one for next week. I mean, if I keep feeling bad, I don't know that it'll be the time to do it, but my plan is for next Friday's video to do all 6 garments in the Make It Simple Tilly and the Buttons book. Because if my head and body are hurting too much to do the actual sewing, there's a ton of prep work, there's a ton of patterns to trace out, all the fabric to cut. That's a little easier on me than the actual sewing parts and pressing everything. So I think I'll be able to manage it. And you know, I wouldn't be able to take the time to do stuff like this and feel so capable of getting through even little things like this without everyone over on my Patreon. They are funding the projects like this. I'm able to have interfacing, have thrifted stuff that I can pilfer skirt linings from because of what they contribute to this, and I wouldn't be able to be here doing this stuff without them, and feeling like I can take a little time for myself to recoup the best that I can. I will forever be appreciative of the opportunities that y'all give me, so thank you so much. And to all of you for spending any amount of time hanging out with me, it means the world. I can't wait till in-person events can happen again, so some of us could maybe like meet up at a convention or something sometime. But in the meantime, all of the patrons have given open access to everyone to come join the Discord, so if you want a little online community to hang out with, please send me a message wherever is easier for you. Twitter, Instagram, I have a Facebook page, you can email me and I will send you an invite link, and you are more than welcome to share your makes and share your shops and your crafting assistance. I mean, I'm a pet person, so that's naturally my favorite part, but even just talking about Pyrex dishes with everyone has brought me so much joy during all of this. What do you think, Bert? You think it's time to go? think it's time to go sit on the couch and edit this and hang out with our heating pad. I think his main purpose on this earth is to try to lure me into naps at all times. It's like his Pokemon special ability. And with that, I will see you all next Friday with another video. Fingers crossed we get through motherfucking Make It Simple book. It's gonna be great. I'm excited to work on the projects. I just hope my body can keep its shit together for enough days in a row for me to get through it. Thank you all so much for hanging out.